Yo, 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 welcome back to the Squid Talk podcast hosted by myself, Lucas Pachter. Today we have ButterDawg, aka Jack Turco, joining us today. The reason I wanted to have on Jack is because even though Jack, ButterDawg, is a creator like me and a TikToker, he's also very, very smart and business savvy. And I feel like not that many people really know that or get to see that side of him. They just think he's a guy that, dropped out of college to eat raw meat and nuts. So we're going to be going deeper into his life, what that's been like as a creator, where he's going, what his plans are. And I guess I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of give us the backstory on how you started, why you started, and what's your plan with this whole thing.
Well, I appreciate the intro. That was nice. Like you were saying, I'm ButterDawg, Jack. I started posting on TikTok. It actually was a year ago, like 2 days ago.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And you were the same thing. Right?
Yeah, it was about like a year and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So we're basically the same timeline. And when I started, I was really into health. And I was on the rowing team in college at Wisconsin. And that kind of kickstarted everything for me. And I was experimenting with my diet and how I could max out on performance. And eventually it grew to something like my TikTok page. But it started out really as a carnivore diet. I was eating meat, I was eating fruits, I was eating honey, and then it was raw meat, raw testicles, raw kidneys, like stuff like that. And people were like, "What are you doing? You got to post about that." And I always wanted to in the back of my head. So then I started, and from the beginning it was, steady increase, and I had some videos blow up. Like the testicle ButterDawg early on, which was
Pretty fast, right?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. It wasn't like overnight. But my first video that went crazy viral was the testicle ButterDawg. It was the raw testicle with the stick of butter in between. And that was maybe like a few weeks into posting. That was my first million view video. That was overnight.
Wow. So that got you hooked early on.
Yeah.
I know it takes a lot. Sometimes people get that hit fast. Sometimes it takes them like years, but
Yeah.
Well, you said a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
Oh,
And
cool.
I watched your video. You said you posted like 750 times.
Yeah,
And never.
it's fucked. But that being said, though, like you had something that you went into, and you probably, like your friend said, you knew that this was going to be something that gets attention. My early on content was like the fitness TikToker content. It was like me flexing in front of my iPhone camera, which wasn't that good of quality. I had like a decent physique, but still pretty mid compared to, David Lade and all those guys that are the real fitness TikTokers. So it made sense that it took so long. And I'm not like upset about that or anything. Like I just had to find what hit. And for me, it took a while, but it sounds like it hit pretty fast for you. So that's great.
Yeah, right when I started, I kind of had an idea of what I was going to do. I was going to post health, fitness, stuff related to being an athlete, and like the entertainment and the crazy stuff. So I knew like the niche was the carnivore animal-based like athlete type of thing. So my first username was animal-based athlete was my first name on TikTok.
It's not as good as ButterDawg. It doesn't really stick that much.
No, it doesn't. And
Yeah.
that's what my buddy said to me. He's like, your content's good, but no one really remembers animal-based athlete.
Yeah, you need a character.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
so where did ButterDawg come from then?
It was a little bit of comments, a little bit of like the most viral video. And then in my head, I'm like, you know what, ButterDawg, that sticks. And I tried to get the username from someone who had it like ButterDawg, D-O-G.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually crazy how many ButterDawg accounts there are. So I ended up ButterDawg, D-A-W-G.
Yeah.
And
I think it's good. I think that's good.
yeah.
I know, dude, I've been trying to get this, like for my company, Squid Hoss, like that username for a year and a half now, and the dude just won't budge.
Does he respond?
No. He's like this
doesn't?
dude, he makes like ceramic bowls. He has like 49 followers, and I've literally offered him like, thank God I have my own name. I was trying to get like Squid or Lucas or something like that.
Yeah.
Squid Pachter ended up working pretty well. But yeah, for my company, like I've even offered like 10K just for the name.
Yeah.
And
You
I'll probably have to offer more, but the dude doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck. But do you think you have to kind of stick with ButterDawg now, right? D-A-W-G, because that's your character.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll stick with that name. As far as content goes, like there's a time when you have to shift, and I'm starting to realize that like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, the audience isn't going to be responsive.
Sure.
So people always tell me, oh, you're never going to last. Like, you can't keep eating raw meat. It's, you're going to be old news soon. And I look at it like, okay, when I first started the account, I was an athlete. I was in college. I was doing real things. I was, documenting my progress and the process of everything. And then I left school, quit rowing, came home, and it was more like lifestyle. And then it turned into entertainment. And then I moved out to Austin. And now I'm still trying to figure out how to put the professional, like business side of it and to tell my story and also to make entertaining content. And it's been a little bit of a shift for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people definitely, I think you get views from the kind of like, I don't even know the right word, obscure, if that's the right word, obscure content. Like that's what gets views, but your followers follow you and like, your core audience because they like you, Jack, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with me. Like I have all these different types of advice or content that I give, but I feel like you're 100% right. When people follow you for your action, like what you're doing, it doesn't last nearly as long as following you for your character. That's why you see some influencers blow up off of like one trend. There's so many. I could name 1,000 right now. I don't want to call anybody out, but
Do it.
a lot of because I'm friends with some of them, but some people blow up because of like one trend. And it's like you do get a lot of views. Like I know people that have gone like 500K, 1.5 million followers from like one specific. Oh, perfect example. The cranberry juice guy, with that song, he would ride on his skateboard drinking the cranberry.
Yes.
That guy went from 0 to fucking, I don't know, 5 million followers in a month. You had like every big celebrity like remaking the trend. This was when trends were huge on TikTok. And, the dude made like a couple $1 million, I think. Like I heard he bought a house and all this stuff.
Wow.
Because he was all anyone could talk about. It's the most popular video on TikTok for quite a while. But like no one has thought of that dude for years until I just said that. You know what I mean? And so that's one of those types of things where you need to build, if you're interested in becoming like a creator, an influencer or anything, you need to build your content around you, not you around your content, if that makes sense. I know you get that already, but I guess like my next question would be, did you go into it for fun, or were you did you know you wanted to be like a, influencer and make money and stuff? And, it's only been a year, but you're already, you make quite a bit. So
Yeah. So growing up, I always wanted to like entertain. I always had it in the back of my mind, like, you know what, you need to start a YouTube channel. And it really didn't hit me until college. And I was at my lowest point where I'm like, I just need to start doing it. I need to take action. And that's what happened. I was on TikTok and I wanted to share advice. I wanted to like document my story, but I also wanted to entertain. And that's what it came down to at the end of the day is I want to capture attention. I want to make people laugh. I want to almost provide people with an escape. Like they see my videos and they're like, what is going on? That's insane. I've never seen anyone do that. And like you look at me and you wouldn't think that like I'm the type of person to, be doing all these things. And that's, I find there's some entertainment in the irony there too.
well, yeah, you're definitely in person. For anyone who doesn't know ButterDawg in real life, he's like a cool ass normal guy. I mean, I wanted to interview you and do this podcast because I think there was a lot of value to be gained from your insight, but I also just like you as a person. You're one of my friends.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, you probably wouldn't know that from watching your videos.
No.
You'd be like, this guy's crazy, honestly. But that's what it sells, so I get it.
Yeah. I spent time with a buddy that I hadn't seen in a while, and we spent like a few days together in California, and he's like, so, where's the raw testicle? We were on vacation. He was like, all I see is you eating that stuff. I was expecting you to like go out to dinner and bring your own balls.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, not necessarily. Back home, maybe, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So at what point did you actually start making money and you were like, okay, this is what I want to do full time? I know you've kind of explained to me, last time we hung out, like what that process of dropping out of college was like, but where did you kind of first know and make that decision? How long after did you first know? Did you make that decision where like, I'm going all in on this?
Yeah. When I left college, I maybe had made 10 grand at that point. And I had 6 months of absolutely nothing. Then I left school in April. No, it was March, and it was building, but I wasn't making like any real money where I was gonna move out and it changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
But when I left, it was the biggest. I would say it was definitely the time where I gained the most traction. Like after that, I was able to go all in. Before I was an athlete, I was a student. I was also doing TikTok, trying to balance life, relationships, and everything like that. When I left, it was just me and it was content. And after that, that's when I started to make money. I got monetized on TikTok. I took on a full position with Chalk Supplements as their director of social media marketing. And I started to build out a team of influencers. Right now, it's around 30, I think, around 30 or 40 people who I have under me at Chalk. And that's when the real money started to come in. And most people don't even see that. They just see the videos, the entertainment. I don't really talk about the business side of it. But once I had that nailed down, it was right around like June or July when I like really started to make money. And I was like, all right, I'm moving out of my parents' house. I'm coming to Austin and working with Chalk Supplements and also doing content full time.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how like this doesn't happen all the time, but it was similar for me. You really start to see the result when you do go all in on something.
Yes.
I feel like when you have one foot in the door and one foot out, you're never going to really succeed. And I'm not telling someone to like just drop out of college and go all in on something. Make sure you have something to show for it first. But yeah, I mean, my growth when I first started was crazy last summer, and then or 2 summers ago. Then I went back to school. I was balancing schoolwork, growing the business, and social media, and I maybe gained like I gained like I went from 5K to 120K in a month. Wow. It was like my biggest growth ever. I was like, wow, this is dope. Like I can finally do this. Go back to school, and throughout the entire year, which was like 8 months long, I barely grew at all. And then the second I graduated and I got to go all in again, I like almost tripled my account right now, so you can't really expect in my opinion to see any results if you're not going all in on something.
Mm-hmm.
But that also means taking the risk of doing that. And you have to be okay with it not working out.
Yeah. 100%.
And like you knew there was a chance it wouldn't work out, but we're young and you can take those risks. And I don't know, what was your thought process like? I know you told me I need to make a certain amount of money or else I'm going to give up. What were you thinking in your head? Like, how did you work through that whole thing?
I gave myself no other option.
Yeah.
That's what it was in my mind. Like I had, and the crazy thing was I was paying rent in Madison for college. I was still on the hook until last month on that. I had a lease in Charleston, South Carolina, because I was going to go to grad school after undergrad. And then I also was trying to move to Austin and get out of my parents' house. So I had so many things like almost crumbling down on me. And it was pressure.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was like, you know what, you have to figure it out. This is it. And if you give yourself that pressure, it will happen. For me, I'm a very obsessive person. I think you have to be to run a business, to do social media. You have to be obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically blocked everything out and just went all in on content for, at that time, it would have been 8 months. And I finally started to see results because I just put myself under pressure. I left school. I wasn't listening to like my parents' advice, which was, stay home, save money, get a job. I was like, no, I'm going to figure it out. It's all going to be okay. And I would just tell myself that like,
it will work out.
It will.
And you truly believe that.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. And I think when you do, it works. Like I know, dude, I completely relate to you because the same thing happened to me when I was posting and I remember I had some family members that were like upset because some of my content was a little controversial. And, I was like talking to my parents and they were getting really, really upset. Like there was even a time when I was like on the phone with my mom and she was crying and
wow.
She was like, did you see that whole thing about that girl like trying to cancel me?
Was it about the body positivity or?
Yeah, that was one of the things.
Because I feel like people try to cancel you all the time.
So, but I used to be worried about that. I used to be afraid of getting canceled and of like SJWs and all that stuff when I first started. because I did have a foot in and out of the door, right? And so this girl tried to cancel me, and I didn't even do anything wrong. She just wanted to make me like the enemy of her story to blow up her her articles or whatever, her profile as a journalist. And there's a lot of those out there these days. And I was in this like big fight with my parents, and they're like, what you're doing is, I remember I was talking to my mom, she was crying, like I said, and she was like, do you not care that what you're doing is hurting the family? Because it was like my name was all over these articles. Like I was in the Washington Post at one point, and it was just all these lies about me. So she said, do you not care that like what you're doing is hurting the family? And I feel bad about it, but she was making me really emotional, and I yelled over the phone. I was like, Mom, I'm doing this for the family. Like I'm doing this to put my name on our name on the map, right? I want the Pachter last name to be like a big name, and I need to be the person to make that happen, or else no one else will. That's kind of how I felt. And at that point I was like, you know what? I'm going all in. I'm going to say I'm going to say what I'm thinking. I'm going to say what I feel. I'm going to do what I want. And I don't care, and I shouldn't care what other people think, because it's my life at the end of the day, and I don't want to be a prisoner to anybody else's opinions. And the second that I started acting and, essentially acting that way, is the second that everything started working out. But I don't know if that'll be the case for everybody. Like, I don't think you should just go on social media and say ridiculous shit to get views. But the reason I bring that up is because of like, when you have a backup plan, you don't go as hard because you're not like fighting for food. And, you and I are both from like, middle, like you're probably upper middle class family too, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a joke on my page that I'm a trust fund kid. Like my dad's worked his ass off, and he's, he's got a C-suite position at a tech company now, and he does well, but my life is completely different than, what he's doing. And I don't think he understands it fully, but I had a great upbringing. Like I wouldn't be here without my parents either. So,
and I will say, like, I'm sure you agree, we're definitely fortunate to that if things were to not work out, if everything just went south and nothing and just everything came crumbling apart, right? We could go back to our parents' house and sleep in the guest bedroom, or back to our old childhood bedroom or whatever. And so I definitely am able to, recognize that is a position of privilege. And when you have that in your back pocket, you can go all in on something. But I think most people can do that if they have a parent. Like your parents will always want to take care of you.
Yeah.
And so if you're young, like you're allowed to make mistakes and take risks. And if anything, it should be the time when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because as you get older, you lose that opportunity. Like your parents aren't going to want to take care of you when you're 30 years old. But if you're young and you're just graduating college, or maybe you decided not to, and you want to go all in on your dreams, your parents might not even support you. But if it doesn't work out, like I would say a good amount of people do have the ability to go back and live at home for a little bit. And yeah, it might be like embarrassing, and your pride might be damaged a little bit, but like that's the risk you have to take.
Yeah.
And it does pay off.
Yeah.
It does pay off.
How many DMs do you get from kids? I'm going through, a tough time at school. I'm growing a business, which they probably don't have much of anything. And they're like, I want to drop out of school. This is the next thing. What do you say to that?
Dude, there's so
Because you get that a lot, yeah?
I get like, it all depends on like if the algorithm's hitting on my videos or not. Like sometimes I'll be like, when I was getting like 5 to 10K followers a day for 2 weeks straight, I was getting 200 DMs a day. Right now, I probably get about 25 to 50 DMs a day. But yeah, it's half people saying like, thank you, I appreciate your content, it's very helpful. And I do really appreciate those DMs. And then the other half is like some lost kid looking for help, looking for an answer. And I feel I can relate to that a little bit. I remember when I was like going through I was going through a breakup this one time a few years ago. I was so down bad, and I found this TikTok dude who would like give relationship advice. I forgot his name, but he would give like relationship advice and like heartbreak advice and shit.
Yeah.
And I literally remember myself like DMing this dude like, Yeah, dude, I'm going through a rough time. I think I just wanted to talk. I think that's
Yeah.
all it was. I didn't even really want his advice because I knew what I had to do,
Yeah.
which is just move on.
Oh yeah.
But I was like asking this dude for advice, and he responded, and he was like trying to help me through it. Um, and so it's funny that like you know, I used to be that guy, just like the
Yeah.
kids that are DMing me. But it shows you, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like asking for help or reaching
Right.
out to people. They might not always respond, but there's nothing wrong with that. I was there,
Yeah.
you know. Do you feel like I kind of want to go into what the experience was like for you? Because
Mhm.
I'm sure I had some similar and some different experience in like separating myself from the masses in a way. What was that like for you while you were at college and your peers and
Oh
all your
yeah.
friends were seeing what you were doing and
Yeah.
it's obviously very out of the normal. What was that like?
It was isolating, and every person I think who's ever
That's a good word for it.
been successful or grown a social media page or a business, they all have that same similar story. Like you begin to take off, and all you want to do is put your blood, sweat, and tears into the business, into the content, and that will take you away from your friends or whatever you're doing at school or your home life. And that's what it was for me. I began to spend less time with my friends, more time on myself, and I love my roommates, but definitely in that way, we just grew apart. There were plenty of times where people questioned what I was doing, and I didn't have an answer to them. Um, Specifically, someone asked, like, when you look back at this, like, you're gonna wish you spent more time, you know, in college, like the whole college experience, which I thought was complete bullshit. If you like making content, you like running a business, do it. I think everyone is just they're just sheep. They're like, yeah, I'm in college. I'm just gonna drink and waste away. And then once real life starts, I'll get it together. And that's like I think that's the worst way to look at it.
That is that is the normal mindset,
Hmm.
100%.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people know that a lot of people like admit to themselves that college is the most fun they're ever going to have. I hear that it's
hmm
supposed to be the best 4 years of your life. No, it's not. It's supposed to be like the preparation for the best
right.
years of your life if you do it right.
Yeah, like I look at my buddies and from people in college, they had whatever, they had their fun. They went back home for the summer and now they're working a 9 to 5. And now I'm like complete opposite. I'm out in Austin doing whatever I want. And I laid the groundwork, and that is 100% worth it. I wouldn't take it back. I lost a bunch of friends. People don't get it. They question it. But when you get ahead, people start throwing stones. They try to bring you back down.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you've experienced that too.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I can answer that in a second, but one thing I wanted to ask is, do you like your job?
I love it.
That's good.
Yeah. It's it's crazy because some days I wake up and I don't want to make videos as bad as like another day.
Hmm.
So I love it. Some days I love it less, some days I love it more. But do people ever say, do you find what you do like sustainable? Like social media, content creation, that's not sustainable. That's what everyone says to me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I love waking up, being creative, doing whatever I want, making videos and entertaining people. It might not be on TikTok, it might be on YouTube, or it might be on a different platform in the future. But overall, yes, that is sustainable for me. And that's something that's probably the one question that I get asked is, do you really think that's sustainable? Yes.
It's funny you bring that up because I was talking to some girl about this the other day, and that same word was said a lot,
Hmm.
sustainable.
Yeah.
I don't think anything is sustainable. People like to think that a 9 to 5 is sustainable or secure or safe. It's not. Like, one of my really good friends is a DJ. He's very talented. He's still in his early stage, like you and I 6 months ago, where he's on the brink, right? Like he's just about to make it, but he
Yeah.
needs that final like push to get there. I keep telling him like it's gonna be hard, bro, but you got to keep going. Like you've done too much work to give up, and he had been like DJing all through college. He was like the biggest DJ at our college. But he also had this job for this company, and he was their biggest sales rep. And his parents literally were like not supportive whatsoever of his DJ career.
Yeah.
They said, "You have a great job. You're a fucking idiot. What are you doing? Like, you should be focusing on this. Like, this is how you make money. You have a great job offer." And what do you know? the company he was working for, even though he was their best sales employee, he was bringing in more money than everybody else. Their company went under, and so he got laid off.
Yeah.
And that, like, his parents were just completely wrong. They were like, "That's the safe option. That's what you should be
Right.
doing." And had he given up his DJ career to focus on that, then he'd have to start over and find a shittier job somewhere else. But good thing he did decide to keep going with DJing. And I hope it works out for him. I really think it will, because he's all in and he's focusing on it. But that's one of those things, is like, once again, there is no such thing as sustainable in my mind. Like, and even if you were focusing on social media and you built a big platform, and for whatever reason it dropped off, whether it's you getting stale as a creator or TikTok being banned,
Yeah.
you're not starting from zero. You've met a lot of people, you've learned a lot of lessons. I'm sure like you or I could both go and talk to a friend or someone we've networked with and be like, yeah, that I've built a platform, that I
Yep.
know marketing and socializing and social media. And you'll come up with something new.
Yeah.
Just like if my or your business fails, like we'll come up with something new. I don't think
Exactly.
it will, but yeah, the idea of sustainable is stupid to me.
Yeah, and the whole thing with social media too, it, like you were mentioning the cranberry guy, that dude made millions, like basically overnight. So I don't think people realize, because they're just fucking stupid and they're conditioned to believe, let's go work the next 50 years of our lives for some guy who doesn't give a shit about us. They don't realize that it only takes one time to just hit it big, and that could determine literally the rest of your life. With Squid Hoss, you will have a big exit, and that could be enough that you literally never have to work again. And
But
you could do
you have
whatever
to be
you want.
smart though,
You do have to be smart.
because I know a lot of TikTokers, a lot of influencers that don't make any money.
Yeah.
And they have like 500,000 followers, but they make no money.
Right.
So you need to be smart. You're obviously very smart. You found a way to utilize your the eyes that were on
Yeah.
you and figure out other streams of income, other ways to make money.
Mhm.
The same skills you use to build your social media, you use to help the company you're working with to build theirs. So I think if you're smart, you don't even need to be that big. You can really
Mhm.
leverage what you have and make a lot of money. But I think that's one thing that a lot of like influencers / creators need to learn how to do, because if the views are there, there's money to be made. It's either going to be made by somebody else using you,
Yep.
or you making money for yourself.
Yeah. That is key. I know a lot of people who have a ton of followers, they don't make anything.
Yeah.
Because you also have to have that business mind. And you can literally make money doing anything if you're smart enough. Like, I eat raw meat online. How could most people would be like, how do you make money from that? Well, first of all, I get paid for views, but then it also segues into health.
Yeah.
And I just know how to build a platform. I can help other people build a platform, and other people sell supplements, as well as myself selling supplements. So those are two streams that I rely on, I would say.
On the side of like eating raw meat and all
Mhm.
that, I'm curious, have you seen like any health?
Yeah.
Because eating raw meat to me sounds like it would give you some health problems. No, but
No, it's crazy. Like, you start out and you might have severe diarrhea for like a week or so as your stomach like adjusts and everything, which is normal. Because we've been eating oats, grains, bread, stuff like that. Your stomach doesn't really need to be acidic to break down any of that. So we've definitely lost a little bit of that. So getting back to a diet of raw foods might be a little difficult at first, but then it's the mental clarity. It's the feeling good every single day. I can't remember the last time I've ever taken Advil or ever needed medicine, because I always just feel locked in, and I don't drink really at all. So that's another thing. I think people, if they eliminated drinking, they would probably feel a hell of a lot better.
that's so interesting to me, because I was actually thinking about it the other day. I was like, I think a lot of people like myself assume that you need to cook meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way society has taught us. So I was thinking about it the other day. Like, did people a couple hundred years ago, did the cavemen, did all those guys going back thousands of years, did they always need to build fires and cook their meat, or they were just probably eating it right off the fucking bone?
They were probably eating it right off the bone. I mean, there's pretty good evidence to suggest that our brains were growing in size, depending on how you view the whole situation, evolution or whatnot. But there's some pretty good evidence that our brains grew in size when we began to eat meat, specifically raw. And whether or not people believe that, it's really up to them. But also, if you just did an experiment on yourself for a week, even if you cooked your meat and gradually, you ate like raw or rare steaks over a period of a few weeks, you would feel so much better. I'm not sure I've met anyone who's tried it and been like, you know what, I don't feel better.
Do you like the taste though?
You have to see, that's another thing. We consume products that are meant to hijack our system, like
Yeah.
Cheetos, Doritos,
Yeah.
the cupcakes, like the Hostess cupcakes. That's all meant to be like super sweet, super
Addicting.
yeah, addicting
Mm-hmm.
and overstimulating. So when you eat the raw meat, you eat like eggs, it doesn't taste as good. You have to be like hungry to do it. That's why I think a lot of people find success in that, because they only eat when they're truly hungry. Like a lot of the time you realize, wow, I'm not that hungry. Because if ground beef with salt doesn't sound appetizing, you're not hungry. Like you don't need it. You're just bored. You just want the dopamine hit.
And you're just used to like a schedule, because we've been taught
exactly.
a schedule. Yeah, I've been waiting. I've recently been waiting until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon to start eating. And I feel good. Like I'm not hungry. I kind of get to eat what I want because I'm having, I'm bringing in less calories, I guess, on the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm definitely not nearly as like health balanced as you. But do you do anything else? Do you do like saunas or ice baths or anything like that?
Sauna and cold plunge every day. I do that every morning usually. Hit the sauna first and then the cold plunge, as well as like a cold shower in the morning. Nice. But that's actually, that's key. I don't know if you ever feel like in the morning you're tired or you wake up and you're kind of foggy. The best thing you can do is cold exposure, like right away.
Yeah. No, yeah. I use my Polar Pod every single morning. My gym has a cold plunge too. And sometimes I'll use that before a workout just to get me energized and going and excited for it, especially when I'm feeling like kind of lazy or maybe hungover or something. But yeah, it's, I have one at my house, so it's convenient and I can just use it right there. But yeah, I mean, those are things that like just make you, I don't know, they just, even if it can increase the energy and the productivity in your day by like 10 to 20%, then it's totally worth it in my opinion.
And the cold exposure actually increases dopamine like over 200%, not just for like 5 minutes. Like if you were to do a line of Coke, to be extreme, like that would be up and crash. Like when you cold exposure, 200% increase, that's sustained for hours. So if you're not starting your morning with cold exposure, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, like that's, I've been going on, I don't know. I've been trying to focus on my health a lot more recently. I don't drink as much. That's one thing. I think when you're young, society kind of tells you like you should be going out. You should be like every Friday and Saturday. That's just kind of like the way you're taught. It's like go to work, hate your life, Monday through Friday, and then you get to blow off steam on the weekends. And I still do like going out, but I go home earlier now and I don't drink as much unless it's like a big trip or an occasion. And I just feel better. And I think a lot of that goes into having stuff you need to do, shit you need to get done, because I get it. Like if your job sucks or you work for some asshole that you hate, who's sleeping with your wife, like you're gonna dread more than anything that Monday morning, because that is when your week starts, and that does not sound enjoyable at all. And so of course you're gonna drown out your sorrows by smoking weed or drinking or whatever. But when you love what you're doing, and you don't need to be a business owner or an influencer, if you just have a job you really enjoy and you take pride in it, like, my dad's a doctor and he really takes pride in it. You don't want to go out and drink as much, or sometimes even drink at all, because you know that it's going to affect, your productivity the next day, which is going to affect how you can do your job, whatever it is. And so it's really cool to like be around people that aren't solely focused on partying at a young age.
Yeah.
I respect that about you a lot. I think that's great. I see it all the time. People are like, yeah, I went sober 5. I never hear anyone say I went sober and I regret it. It's
Yeah.
always like I went sober and I've been more productive. I'm happy. I have better friends. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh yeah. If like most people don't even realize because they're in like a loop. They go to work, they go to school, and then weekends they take the next 5 days to self-destruct because you drink like one night of binge drinking. That's not just going to set you back the next day. You're going to be mentally foggy for the next few days to a week.
For sure.
And you do that every single weekend, and you're basically just self-destructing over time, and it just takes a little bit away from you every time.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like you're not going to make as much money. Like you
No.
will, and that's not all that matters, but your life will not be as effective if you're, not feeling 100%. And that doesn't mean you need to stop drinking or you need to stop going out, but I would love to see more young people get their priorities straight. Like,
Yeah.
and like I said, unless I'm going on a big trip, like I'm going to San Diego tonight to see my college friends, so I will party a lot this weekend. But
Yeah.
on most weekends, I won't go out actually anymore. I would rather stay in. I'd rather be good to go the next day. And like as nerdy as it sounds, like I'd rather like read a book
Yeah.
or something like that than going out anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the best advice to give to a late teen, early 20s young guy. You don't feel like you need to have everything figured out. Get your health back, stop drinking, and you're going to find a way to get ahead, whether that be through business, through social media. When you have that clarity, you can actually think, you can actually do things. So that's like one thing. If you want to change your life, what are you doing that's holding you back? Are you drinking?
First. Health needs to come first.
Yeah, exactly. You need to set the foundation, because if you feel like shit all the time, you're not going to be productive.
That's why they call it health, wealth, happiness,
Yeah.
right? That there's the reason that health is first. I
Yeah.
fully agree. That's an interesting point. Yeah, I think if you're, and a lot of the things we try and talk about on like the Squid Talk podcast is like obviously getting a deeper look into the individual guests' lives, but like becoming a better individual as a whole. And if you are, whether you're a kid or an adult or whatever age you are, if you're feeling like lost, you're feeling like I want to do more than I currently am, and I don't know where to start whatsoever, that's totally fine. You don't need to know the answer. You don't need to have the whole path like in your vision from step one, but the first step needs to be getting your health in order. I fully believe that. I think that's why the gym is so great, because you go to the gym, you're a skinny fuck or you're a fat fuck, you start getting your health in order, and then everything else in your life just starts to kind of follow, because you're able to, once again, think more clearly. You're proud, you're confident in yourself for putting in that work. You see the results. I mean, I think the gym is probably one of the best metaphors for just growth, both physically and mentally. And yeah, I don't know. I know that that's where it started for me. Like I was feeling like a lost little kid. Looked in the mirror and I was like, what am I even doing here? When I was a little kid, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to start working out so I can at least see something that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I'll feel that way too. And it worked.
Yeah.
I just started doing other stuff too, but I think the gym is a perfect way to get your life in order from the start.
Easily the best way. And that's kind of how it went for me. I was in college and I was drinking probably 7 to 8 beers every day, like, and being an athlete and going to class.
Really?
And I had a girlfriend at the time, and it all came crashing down. Like I was going to get cut from the team. My girlfriend broke up with me. I was actually failing half my classes with like maybe a month or 2 left of the semester. And I was like, holy shit, what am I going to do? And like you're saying, just took a long, hard look in the mirror. All right, my health is terrible. I'm not performing because I'm self-destructing every single night. You eliminate that and everything just went up from there. I went and put down one of the best 10K times that I've ever had for rowing. And then I began to do social media, and it all took off from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you probably don't even care, but how was your relationship with all I know I asked you about it earlier a little bit, but do you still keep in contact with any of those people in college that you
I
used to be friends with? And
I actually I was texting with one or two of them the other day, and I like them. They're great guys, and I was just I describe it as this: I was at a weird time in my life where it wasn't them; it was just what I was doing. Um, there was something bigger that I was chasing. It's not that I left them in the past; it was just I was focusing so hard on growing social media, doing content that I didn't have time to put in as much effort with them, and I hold nothing against them. There are definitely mistakes that I've made, and um, but you got to realize like there's different. How I've heard it, there's different seasons to it. Like I was a college kid, that was one season, and then another season was me trying to basically get back on my feet and kickstart my life.
mhm.
And it's not that I you know resent any of them. It's just they were a different part of my life.
A different chapter in the book.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like in a book, there's same thing with a movie. There's characters in that movie. Like think of it like a 5-part series, like fucking Star
Yeah,
Wars or a TV show like Game of Thrones. There are characters that are vital to the storyline, but they only exist for a season. That's how I like to
yeah,
look at it. And that doesn't mean you should cut anybody out of your
right.
life, but some people are great in season 1, and then in season 4 it just doesn't make sense because they're not really adding to the storyline. And I think you do need to be selfish in a way when you're looking out for yourself, because a lot of people will try and hold you back.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when you're trying to go on and move to chapter 2 or season 2, they will try and keep you in season 1. And you can choose to stay friends with them and stay there, stay at the same position, or you can choose growth.
Yeah,
And sometimes that means leaving people behind, and in a way that is a little sad. I'm sure some people will hear that and be like, I always want to keep my day ones around. But in reality, like, I guess that's just the choice you have to make. Some people aren't meant to be part of your entire story.
right.
Um, and it just depends on, are they helping grow you, or are they holding you back?
Yeah.
But do you ever feel like you're missing out on yeah, I guess, do you ever feel like you're missing out on anything right now, or do you think you're doing exactly what you
Um,
need to and want to be doing?
there's definitely times like, drinking, going out, partying, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't, then nobody would do it.
Hmm.
So in the beginning, I was like, yeah, okay, I might be missing out, but I always had a bigger picture in my head. And when I knew that I needed to get out of where I was in college and move away, was when I was trying to get ahead, and everyone around me was questioning, like, why aren't you going out with us? Why aren't you drinking? And at that time I was going to bed at 9 every single day, waking up at like 4:30 or 5, and making videos before 6 a.m. practice, coming home, doing it all again, and then going to class and practice in the afternoon. And to me, I always had a bigger picture. And when other people tried to take away from that, I had no problem saying no.
That's good.
I wasn't missing out.
What is the bigger picture for ButterDawg? Like, what is next?
Yeah. So that's something I think about a decent amount. And the bigger picture for ButterDawg is having it reflect where I am in life. Because if people like me for, I guess, who I am, and they enjoy the content, and I'm just learning in business, and I'm basically building new relationships, and I'm documenting that along the way, I think that is what would be next. I still love entertaining. I still love doing the crazy videos, eating the raw meat. Is that what I'm going to do for the next 5 years? Probably not. But I'm putting myself in a position where I can pivot, where I can do anything I wanted. And I'm sure you realize too, as you get further into this and you grow your business, you build so many connections that if this were to end tomorrow, you can make one phone call and you're going and doing something else.
Yeah.
So that's really what is next for me. Just continuing to build relationships, um, surround myself with people who think the same way. Guys like you. I know you met Ricky too. We spent a lot of time together. So basically, just talking business,
Hmm.
talking content.
Are there any Are there any people that you look at, people you know personally, or maybe like another businessman online or creator that you kind of look up to, or that you want to, not be like them, but like emulate their path, or someone you have like who's your, I guess it's a two-part question. Is there anyone you're trying to be like, or do you have like a hero or anything like that? Or are you completely just doing it yourself?
Man, I listen to Alex Hormozy every single day for probably 3 to 4 hours for like almost
Crazy.
6 months straight.
That's wild.
And I just try to soak everything in from him. And while I do something way different than him, it's good to, I guess, get a perspective of it. Because you could basically, the fundamentals of business are applicable to all different types of categories, whether it's health supplements, clothing. You're going to go through these milestones and through these steps where you're growing or you're not growing, you're trying to reinvent, you're trying to rebrand. And so having someone like that, I guess, in my ear almost every single day.
What, just his podcast, clips, YouTube videos,
his book, yeah.
Wow, I wonder how many lives he's changed, man.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I actually started making not content because of him, but very similar. I got a lot of motivation from Alex Hormozy. I also really like that he was fraternity president too, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I see a lot of similarities between you and him.
Yeah, we're both fitness brands, both fraternity president, both had we had a little bit of like dad issues each, but I got mine figured out. I'm very close with my dad now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. We have a very similar story. I like the dude a lot. I do think balance is a very important thing. I think Alex Hormozy, and there's nothing wrong with this, it's just not necessarily what I want to do. I think he's a little too on one side in terms of no like fun. But that's just because he all he wants to do is work. And all I want to do is work too, but I think personal relationships are very important. I think having fun is very important, and like traveling and going out sometimes. That's all part of balance for me. I want to buy cool, nice things. He has none of that. He doesn't want to party at all. He doesn't want to buy a nice watch or a nice car. He doesn't care about all he cares about is learning, which I have a lot of respect for, and that's why I think it's great to try and learn as much from him. But yeah, I also heard him say that he doesn't want to have a family. I don't know if you've heard that.
That's kind of ridiculous.
That's crazy to me. Because that's why I don't know about you. I guess that's my next question. I'm doing all this, like I said at the beginning of this whole podcast, for my family. Yeah. Obviously, I want to have fun too, and I would love to have a jet and all that cool stuff one day if I get an exit. But yeah, I mean, dude, I just you want to make money so you can give your family your last name a different life than you had. Yeah. Do you want to have kids and all that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've thought about that a lot, especially as things take off. When you start to make more money, I think just the male mind is you want to provide.
For sure.
And that's something I've definitely thought about more now. In the beginning, though, about balance, in college, I was like, balance is bullshit. Because I was surrounding myself with people who, if I were to balance it out, I'd be balancing, self-destruction and also what I'm trying to do. But when I moved out to Austin, it completely changed my view. I was surrounded by like-minded people. So balance was a lot easier because I got to look into their world. I'm learning from them in different industries and, going out to dinners and doing stuff like that instead of only eating raw meat and sitting in my apartment 7 days a week. That was just pointless. So the balance for me was different. In the beginning, I thought the balance was, oh, you need to go get hammered occasionally. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. But now that I'm surrounded by people who are trying to do the same thing, it completely shifted my point of view on balance, which now I think, you should be going out and meeting other people who are going to help you. You're not just going out to a club with 200 random people screaming and shouting.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never heard that perspective on it before. I agree though. I think, because you think of balance as even if you think of it in physical terms, right? You have your scale, you want half on one side, half on the other. But if this side is destructive, destructive behavior, it's not going to be balanced. It's going to be more like this. So Yeah, it's a good way to look at it, honestly. I don't know. I think a big part of building the life you want is based on environment.
Yes.
I know that when I graduated college, all of my college friends went to, or pretty much all of them, they all went to San Diego. And San Diego's really nice. Like the
Yeah.
weather's great, hot girls, lots of young people,
Yeah.
big party, right? I mean, San Diego's awesome. That's why I'm going there this weekend. Um, it's a lot of fun there. But I knew that if I was living in San Diego, I wouldn't get as much done.
No.
Same with LA.
Yeah.
You have to, I think this is very important, is you need to put yourself in a place to succeed. And like, for example, for me, when I was in LA, my biggest priority was social media.
Hmm.
And I was making more money than I ever had. I was growing like crazy. My following was blowing up. I was doing all these like, interviews and content with big creators. And that was a lot of fun. But I thought to myself, like, do I want to be an influencer or do I want to be an entrepreneur? And the answer is obviously entrepreneur,
Yeah.
because whatever, like that's why I started this whole thing. And the influencing thing was kind of a distraction.
Yeah.
So I moved over here to Austin with my two roommates, and we have a third joining us soon. They're both extremely intelligent, like geniuses, way smarter than me. But I wanted to be with people that like challenged me and also had that, business mindset and not just like want to go out and party, because
Yeah.
you can be the person in your friend group that's killing it and like leading the group. But in my opinion, you don't want to be that guy.
No.
You want to be one of the dumber ones in the group.
Yeah. You want people ahead of you. You want people ahead of you that you're like chasing down in a way.
Yeah.
And like I remember seeing your video when you were talking about being in LA and how you became more of an influencer, and it was kind of getting away from what you really wanted. And that's just the power of the environment. Everyone's an influencer in LA. So if you wanted to be the best influencer, go to LA. I think Austin is very unique. There's a little bit of both, but they all like tie together. It's not too far to one side. So you get the best of both worlds here, I think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I think that's why I came here. I mean, a huge entrepreneurial community here in
Yeah.
Austin. It's huge for podcasts. Like, you got Chris Wilson, you got Alex Hormozy, you got, I think Grant Mitt is here too.
Tom Segura.
Tom Segura's here also.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin's huge for podcasts. But a lot of the podcasts here are centered around like, not just like comedy and entertainment. It's like self-help podcasts,
Right.
business podcasts, health podcasts, right? So that's why I came here, and I love it. I will say that the heat is a little much,
Geez.
but dude, yeah, Austin's sick. I really like it here a lot. I don't know. I think based on what you've seen, are you going to be here a long time?
Yeah. I love it here. And maybe I won't be here full time, but I'll always have a spot in Austin. And I basically, after being here a week, I was like, this is it. When I moved out here, I began to make more money, began to make more connections, and everything just started to take off. And I just knew right then and there, this was the right spot. And I'm not even like in downtown. I'm actually kind of
Yeah, you're quite a ways out.
Yeah.
You're by Lake Travis, though, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so you get to go on the boat a lot.
yeah.
You guys have a boat?
No. Soon.
Yeah. Hit me up when you do.
Yeah.
Let's go
I know
40, bro.
so many people because there's just like a bunch of people who, for one guy, to give you an example, he's like a 50-year-old dude and he wants to start a podcast, wants to do content, doesn't know a thing about it. And I met him at a coffee shop and he was talking and I was like, hey, I heard you want to start a podcast. You want to do content. And he's like, yeah, I would love to do it. I have no idea how. And he's like, and I don't want to pay like an arm and a leg to have some guy manage it. And because there's a process to it. If you go, I truly believe if you just start, you sink like $30K into a podcast studio and you just go all in on equipment, like you're still not going to have the skills to be entertaining or to get views.
Yeah.
So you almost got to start small. I film everything on an iPhone. You do too, basically. Just
Very
in your
raw.
house. Yeah. It's
very raw content. I think that's what's good. Everyone has their own. Like Mr.
Yeah.
Beast has like big edits.
Yeah.
Month or two for each video. Like we're
Yeah.
very like couple videos a day, short form content. That's just what works for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he basically was just looking for someone to help and he had a boat. So I was like, hey man, anytime you want to go out,
there you go.
anytime you want to go out and wake surf, call me up. We'll go out there. We'll get some content. And so that's been great. Let's go
Nice.
surf whenever. And
Yeah, everyone's so nice here,
yeah,
man. Everyone's so nice. That's one thing I noticed is like it was almost weird coming from LA. I also went to a school, even though it wasn't at my school, I went to the University of Arizona. And I'll even admit, like, I probably come off pretentious to a lot of people, honestly. Like, I probably do. But I met a lot of pretentious people, both in college and in LA. And when I came here to Austin, it was so like people were just so nice, dude. It was weird. It was
yeah,
actually weird.
yeah,
It was weird how like friendly people were right off the bat. And it almost like rubbed me the wrong way. And I thought
yeah.
that's so sad that I thought that way. But that's why I'm really enjoying it and I like it out here. I don't know.
The first time I saw one of your videos, I I had that thought, he might be a
A
pretentious like,
douchebag.
asshole,
Yeah.
right? And then I was like internalizing that, and I'm like, well, why do I feel that way? And I think the video that you posted that I saw was talking about like a girl or something, or about advice with women. And it was so true that I thought I basically didn't want to believe it. And that's what I think people when they see you and they're like, he's a douchebag, they probably know what you're saying is true. And there's some substance to it, but they don't want to like
Oh, yeah.
internalize it and believe it. They don't want to change.
The truth pisses a lot of people
Yes.
off. And there's definitely this is one thing that I thought about the other day. I was like, I have a lot of like supporters and people that like value my stuff and I'm very appreciative for all those people. And I want to try and continue try my best to like give good, valuable advice or whatever. But I also have a very like probably a big audience of people that are like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why don't some people like me? Like, why? It doesn't bug me at all. It doesn't bug me whatsoever. But I was thinking, like, why and how could the content I'm putting out piss people off? It really just is trying to help.
Yeah.
And there's some comedy and humor mixed in there. But dude, this was so interesting. So there was this rival fraternity. We're running a little bit out of time here, but there was when I was in college, right? I was the president of like one of the top houses there. One of our biggest rival houses was this other one. And one of my best friends was an old member of that house, but he had graduated a couple years ago. He's a few years older than me. And he was telling me that he ran into the kids in his fraternity on like a big, I think it was on 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, do you know anyone from U of A? He goes, oh, yeah, actually, like Lucas Pachter is my best friend. You guys have probably seen him on TikTok. And his friends were like, or not friends, but the kids in his
Yeah.
fraternity, they were like, oh, fuck that guy. That guy's a fag. And and I was like, and then my boy totally defended me. He's like, like I know you guys say that because that's what they said, by the way. I wouldn't use that word. He's like, I know you guys say that because like the older kids in your house told you that, and that's like your rival fraternity or whatever. But he's actually a nice guy, and like he's just trying to like help some people and put content out. And they were like, oh, okay, I guess you're right. So it's easy for people to like get in this mindset of like making someone the villain or whatever. And it actually helps me. Like it makes my content do better when I post controversial stuff.
Yeah, it's just like they look at you and they see you're a young, successful guy, and part of them just doesn't want to believe it. And it's easier for them to say, screw this guy, rather than thinking, maybe there's something I can learn from that.
But what does that do? That's what I'm saying is what does that do for you? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like if I was like, fuck Alex Hormozy. I hate that guy. He just doesn't see, he just seems like an asshole. I'm literally just preventing myself from learning something that might help me. You know what I mean?
When I first started getting those comments, like, and people were shitting on me, in my head, I was like, you know what? We're making it. Like, we're doing it. Like, this is it. We're blowing up. Because how often do you comment hate on someone else's post?
Never. I've never once seen, that's what I say all the time. I've never once seen somebody else's videos. I've seen videos that piss me off. I've never once commented. It's just a complete waste of time.
Right. But you hit some string in their mind, like some emotion that they feel so inclined to comment.
Yeah.
That's when like you're going to have a big audience, because you can really, you really piss people off, but you also have people who love you.
There's no way around that, though. That's
Right.
one thing I've realized. There's no way around that in the world. I was going to say in the world of social media, in the world of everything. If
Yeah.
you're good at something, you will have supporters, you will have haters. Tom Brady is one of the most adored and loved football players of all time. He probably has more fans as a football player than anybody else in football history. He also probably has more haters than anybody else.
Yeah.
Same thing. And that's just how it goes. You have sun and you have night, right? You have happy, you have sad, you have
Yeah.
warm, you have cold. There needs to be that balance. And so if you do have fans, you're going to have haters. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some individuals out there that I can't even believe that they have haters, and people still just find a way to shit on them. Like, I really like Elon Musk. I really like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I think they're such cool guys, and I think they've done a lot for society. And I'll make a video talking about how, like, yeah, Elon Musk has done a lot for the world. Even if he does say dumb stuff, sometimes he's done a lot for society, and people will be like, bootlicker,
Right.
beat rider. Like, they'll just say shit like that. I'll be like, all right, bro, you're a fucking loser.
Yep.
But that's just how it is, honestly. What advice do you think you could give because of your experience when it comes to dealing with criticism? Or, you know, you obviously had your fair share of adversity. What advice would you give when it comes to like dealing with hate or dealing with outside noise from your peers?
Yeah, in the beginning, it hurt like bad when I would see like the hate comments and shit, because I was trying to have a positive message and trying to help people. So when other people are hating on you, even now, when I see a comment like that, I'm like, you know what, fuck this guy. But I never actually act on it. But you just got to realize if you're gonna make a change, like people are gonna have to, you know, people are just gonna be upset by that. They're not going to want to support. They're always going to try to bring you down.
It's an internal thing.
It's totally internal. Yeah. And I've almost developed a character like with the whole ButterDawg thing, where if people hate on me, they're not hating on me. They're hating on ButterDawg.
And themselves.
Yeah, and themselves. Exactly.
There's do you follow Ecom Side Hustles?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm actually having him on one of my next podcasts. And I love this dude because he gets so much hate. But then he uses it to make videos.
Yeah.
Like, and I made a video just like it the other day. Someone commented, why the fuck would anyone listen to this like pretentious douchebag?
Yeah.
He sucks at, they were just like some crazy comment. And I made a reply. It didn't bug me at all. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, Squid Pactor, you're my favorite. I love your content.
Yeah.
What
saw that.
What advice do you have for this?
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I feel like you could just turn it into kind of like you said earlier. It means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And you turn it into like, not, whether it's motivation or turn it into joy for yourself. I think that's the way to go about it. I don't know. I no longer get pissed by anyone's. Oh, this is a good point that I wanted to bring up. I think the more things that people throw at you, just like building a callus on your skin, the more damage you take, the thicker your calluses become. And so the more negative comments, the more criticism, the more insults that people throw at you, you start to build like this shell.
Yeah.
And then eventually none of it works anymore. It just bounces off. I could even have my parents call me and be like, yeah, that was a dumb decision. I don't think you should do that. You need to stop. And it would just float at me and bounce off.
Yeah.
And it just comes with like time.
Yeah. I think that's the best piece of advice. Like, just keep going.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting that hate and it's really getting to you, just keep going. Because after a while, like you said, you'll just brush it right off.
Yeah. Well, do you have any, like, I want to wrap it up pretty soon. Do you have any, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give to, like, you know, the Squid Talk audience, anyone who's watching this because they want to make a change in their life, or maybe they're looking for your best piece of advice, ButterDawg, having gone through this whole process of not only social media, but separating yourself from the norm, getting out of that like sheep mindset. What would your biggest takeaway from your experience over the past year be?
My biggest biggest piece of advice would be to get your health in check. When you start taking care of yourself, everything else is going to fall into place. You're going to begin to care more about how you present yourself to the world. And if you need some help with that, you can use code BUTTER and get 35% off your Chalk Shilajit subscription for life. This is one of the things I take every single day. Enhances brain function. It's going to make you feel like a rock star. You begin to do that 12 months down the road. I can't even tell you where you're going to be.
Yeah, you gave me a lot of it. I got to try it out.
Yeah.
I've never been a big supplements guy, but if you say it's making you feel great, then I got to try it out, honestly.
The Shilajit is insane. I've been taking it. I take it before bed every night, and I advise you to do the same. You will have the most vivid dreams ever.
Really?
Even if you take it and you're just in a dark room and you close your eyes, I swear you can just like begin to visualize and just see things and almost shape your reality in your dreams. It's weird and really hard to explain, but
no,
before bed,
I kind of understand it. Yeah. Do you wake up feeling like groggy at all or anything like that?
Never.
Really?
Never.
Interesting. Maybe I'll learn something.
And cold plunge. That's all you need.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, that's pretty much it for me. I think that we covered most of everything I wanted to talk about, man. Anything else you want to add?
No, it was great. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming on, Jack. Thank you guys for watching. We were a little absent while I was moving over here to Austin and everything. I haven't been too active on the podcast, but I want to start doing it once a week or once every other week. I got a big list of guests coming up, so excited to get that started. And once again, thank you guys for joining us. If you have any pressing questions that you want me to ask future guests or want me to talk about myself, go ahead and throw it in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos so I can keep pumping out more. And yeah, thank you guys both.